What's up, makers? I'm back here in the shop today for a pretty quick project video. So what I have right here is a brass coin blank. These come in a couple different styles and different thicknesses. This one is a brushed brass coin blank, but they also have textured ones, and there's also stainless steel coin blanks as well. And the cool thing about these is if you have the right type of laser, you can engrave them, you can mark them. And if you have a fiber laser, you can also do a relief engraving, kind of like this. So in today's video, I'm going to provide a step-by-step guide all the way from getting the image that you want, converting it into a 3D depth map, bringing a Lightburn, and share all the settings that I use to make these coins and engrave them with really cool designs. And even the design I'm going to use today, I'll be sharing on my Patreon for free. And to engrave this coin, I'm going to be using my ComMarker B6 20-watt fiber laser. ComMarker is not paying me to make this video. It is simply a project video that I'll be using this machine to do the engraving. Now, ComMarker did provide me the machine for a review, which I have in a previous video, and you can watch that review right here. So let's go ahead and dive onto the computer, find our image, convert it to a 3D depth map, and I'll talk about what that is, bring in a Lightburn, do the setup, and engrave this coin right here. So when you're ready to search your coin, the first thing you have to do is find an image. I have this image that I generated in an AI website called Night Cafe, and I will also have a link to this image through my Patreon if you'd like to toy around and test this one out as well. What to do is download it, and I have my image ready to go right here. Now, even though this image looks somewhat three-dimensional, this is not yet suitable for the laser software, and for this engraving, we're going to be using Lightburn. I know the EasyCAD is another piece of software that a lot of people use, but I think Lightburn is the more dependable one, even though to use it with a Galvo laser is a little bit of an upcharge, but I think it is well worth it. So in order to use this, we need to convert this to something called a depth map. And to convert it to a depth map, there's a couple different options. There's a lot of different sites that will actually let you convert an image into a depth map. The two that I've had the most success with is DepthR and Sculpt OK. Both will create a suitable depth map, although I think I'm liking Sculpt OK a little bit better right now, and this is the one that I'm going to demonstrate. Now, on a quick note, it's good to point out that a lot of these sites will give you some free credits in order to do these conversions, but once you surpass that initial free credit period, you might end up having to pay for future conversions. So, if this is something that you're planning on doing on a regular basis, you actually might want to consider investing in some of these tools so you have regular access to them. So let me go ahead and bring in my image. It'll take a moment to load in, and there it is. So as far as the settings on the side, there really isn't a whole lot to choose from. I'm not going to use background removal. I'll do that in a different program. And I think that their process of removing the background here is going to be a little bit funky anyways, especially with this image. I don't want to do restoration, don't want to do cartoon, but I just want to do a depth map. So down here, it asks you the type of image that you uploaded. I uploaded a color image, and I am not going to use any other prompting. I'm just going to click draw. Now this is going to take 2 of my credits, and I'll take a moment to generate a couple different options here. Sometimes it takes a couple of minutes to generate the responses, so be patient with them. And you'll see the 4 different options that we get. So there's one more here that's generating, and there we go. The way this usually works is kind of in a progression of the least detail to the most detail. And it just kind of depends on what you want and what you think your laser is capable of. So for this one, I think I went with the most detailed one because I'd already generated this and did this before. And notice the difference between each one of these and what shows up in the background. So if you don't really want a really highly detailed coin or really sharp edges, you might go for something that is a little bit less or maybe a little bit more general. That's perfectly fine, but I'm going to go with the most detailed version here because I'm going to run it at 1000 DPI on my laser. Now, I've already downloaded this, so I already have this on my computer. I'm not going to spend the credits to download it again. Once you pick the one that you want, just simply hit download, and then it'll deduct the appropriate amount of credits from your stash wherever you have left, and then download it to your computer, which I already have here. So this is my image, and this is the one I'm going to be using. There are a couple small things that I might end up changing in the image. For one, I'm going to be cutting out everything around this circle, and I might even replace this little badge here. A lot of this depends on what you have access to in terms of image software. There's a lot of free image editors online like GIMP, and a lot of them will do similar work. You may not as easily be able to remove some of the items here, but I'm going to go through and I'm going to clean this up a little bit and get it prepped for Lightburn. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to set up a new file here with the DPI that I want. And I already know that my coin area is about 33, actually I think it's about 34 millimeters. So I'm going to set that up ahead of time as well. And I'm going to, I'll leave everything the same here for right now. And I'll bring it into my new environment this way. I know that within Photoshop, it'll do like sampling to resize. I do want to make sure that I maintain as much detail as possible, and you're only going to be able to do that with the higher DPI. So with our new file set, I just need to do a circle selection. Quick note about grabbing images like this from a AI program that does, automatic generation of images. They don't always match up as being a complete circle. So you can see this right here. I have a perfect circle selection, and it's still just a little bit off. So I'll do this initial selection, try to get it set up the best I can, and then I'll do just a little bit of extra image manipulation here to get it exactly the way I want it. Okay, so I'm going to take that, inverse my selection, and there we go. You see right here that it's a little bit off, but I'm going to fix that right now. That's a lot better. I'm going to probably go around the edge right here and clean that a little bit up. I think everything else is going to end up being okay. And we are just about ready to go into Lightburn. Aside from cleaning up any little artifacts you might have in your image, I don't recommend adjusting anything else like the brightness and contrast. That was already figured out within the depth map software. So you should be about ready to go. This little thing's going to bug me though. So I'm going to see if I can replace that really quick. So after just a little bit of cleanup, this is my final image, and this is what I'm going to be taking over to Lightburn. Now there's one more thing I want to do, and I want to save this as a PNG, which means that I need to remove these little white swatches right there. And I'll do it just with that background removal tool. And now this is ready to save as a PNG and as a transparency. And I think it's going to work a little bit better that way. So let's go ahead and hop over to Lightburn. Now that we're in Lightburn, we're going to bring in our image. So let me go ahead and import it in here. If my screen looks just a little bit different, that's because I'm having to do this on a different computer where I have Lightburn installed. If you're not aware, Lightburn is kind of a per computer license. So you need one individual license per computer. In fact, I own 2 different licenses for Lightburn because I work between different computers at times. So here's my image in Lightburn. This is a previous version that I had saved. So I'm going to scale this down a little bit because I know that the rim of the coin, or the area that I want to engrave on the coin, is about 34 millimeters. So that is that side there. Now something else that I'm going to do that I've liked doing is creating something called a tool layer. And that tool layer is going to act almost like a mask to make sure that no engraving happens outside of this one specific area. So with that selected, here are your tool layers down here, and I'm going to make sure it's on the tool layer. And I'm also going to make sure that it's at the correct scale the way I want, which is 34 millimeters. Now to make sure that these are perfectly aligned, I'm going to select them both, which Lightburn is weird about selection sometimes. You kind of have to click on it instead of just clicking and dragging. But we will do a align center and horizontal center. And you can see here now there's this little red ring around the image, and that is our tool layer. back center. So the last thing that we have to do is go ahead and take a look at our settings. You're going to see various settings and starting points for people online, but they will all be relatively close to what I'm going to show you here. I tend to get impatient when I run my coins because it does take a while, especially with a 20 watt laser. So I try to run it a little bit faster. And for this one, I'm going to run it at about 80% power. I'm not looking at going super deep with this coin, but I want to make sure I go deep enough that I have a really nice relief engraving. And frequency, if you're not that familiar with the settings for a fiber laser, frequency has to do with the pulses between the laser down to the material. The lower the number is, the more aggressive it will be with removing material. The higher the frequency means more pulses, which means that the amount that gets removed is a little bit less. It gets spread out among the frequency. I'd probably have to show a diagram or something else to better explain, but that is the general explanation. The lower the frequency, the more aggressive it's going to remove material. The higher the frequency, it's a little bit less aggressive with material. So I like keeping my frequency between 60 and 80 for doing the coins. So right now I'm going to keep it at 80. I know that my DPI for my coin is 1000, so I already have that set here as my DPI, and it automatically sets the line interval for me, and it's a scan angle of 45. Now the real secret sauce of all of this is making sure that your image mode is set to 3D sliced. And that's going to take your depth map, and it's going to take a look at the high values and the low values. The high values are the white, and that's where the laser is going to hit the least. And the dark areas is where it's going to be more aggressive in removing that material. And it's going to take that and it's going to slice it. And each slice is going to come down to being a different pass on the laser. So 3D sliced. And just for informational sake, all these other ones you could run too, but you're going to have a very flat looking engraving because it's going to treat it as a standard image. So 3D sliced. Most people will run this at 100 passes. I've actually lowered it a little bit just because there gets to be a certain point in the engraving where I'm not seeing changes anymore. I'm not 100% sure why that is. Maybe I have to do some tweaking my settings. But so 90s end up working for me. At that point, I don't really see much else happening with the coin, and I've been able to kind of stop it there, clean it up, and it's been fine. Dot width is 0.080. And the last setting we want to set is to enable the cleanup pass. And that's under here, under this kind of sublayer. The cleanup pass is what is going to remove the soot and any of the slag buildup from removing the metal from the coin. And if you don't run a cleanup pass, you're going to see a pretty big black buildup of all the soot and everything else. And you could clean it, but you may not get the result that you're really looking for. So here are my settings for the cleanup. I'm running my cleanup a little bit slower, 10,000 millimeters a minute. I'm going to run it at 60 power. Actually, I'm going to bring that up just a little bit to be a little bit more aggressive with my cleaning, and frequency at 120 because I'm not really trying to remove a lot of material, just kind of the top layer of the black soot that gets deposited there. Line interval, 0.0254 lines per inch, 45-degree scan angle, and clean after every 5 passes. So if you're looking at running 100 passes, that means there's going to be 20 cleaning passes in that session. That will increase your engrave time, but it'll be worth it in the end because you want a fairly clean coin to process after everything is said and done. So those are my settings. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to go ahead and frame. And now we're ready to run the coin. Now, if by chance your coin comes out looking like this, don't fret. It is a little bit overburned, and this is a lot of slag built up on top, and that means that there's something wrong with your cleaning pass where it's not cleaning enough of the slag in between each or every couple of the engravings. So I'm going to get some steel wool, and we're going to try to knock off some of the slag, and bring out the highlights and see if it still save this side of the coin. So I have a coin right here, and we have some fine steel wool, and I've had this happen before, and you should be able to kind of polish some of this off. In this case, that layer slag was not really that thick. Possibly could have ran a couple more cleaning passes, but I think I was kind of anxious to see my coin here. And for this design, it kind of looks like we engraved deep enough and didn't really need to go any deeper. And there we go. Now I got the coin to this point right here. You could stop if you want, but I'm actually going to polish this up a little bit to see if we can make this look a little bit finished and a little bit more professional. So at this point, if you like the way the coin looks, you can kind of stop there. But if you'd like to take it a step further, we can polish this up. For polishing, I've been using this stuff here called Mother's. It's a mag and aluminum polish. You usually get this from auto parts stores. And I've used this a lot, especially when I used to make rings out of quarters. So we're going to take just a little bit here. It doesn't really take much. It's about that much. You're going to spread it on the coin. You can work it in and polish with a soft cloth, and you'll get some pretty good results. But I'm going to fast forward the process a little bit here using a rotary tool with a polishing bit. You can see I've already used it a little bit before. So it's going to take this to the coin for a minute here. We'll clean all this off. That's how it looks then. You can start seeing it being a little bit more shiny. I'm going to change to a clean polishing pad and then buff the rest of this out. So here's the coin all polished up. And here's a previous one that I did in another video. And you can see that with this method you can get pretty consistent results. And your level of finishing is kind of up to you. Like I mentioned before, if you want to give it a little bit more of an antique look, you can use a chemical darkening agent, or you can use a black acrylic wash, wipe off the excess. But either way, these are some very cool items that you can make with your ComMarker B6 fiber laser. A quick note about a couple things. ComMarker is not sponsoring this video, but they did send me out the laser for review, which I did in a previous video that I'll link right here. I simply wanted to create a step-by-step guide for creating coins because this is one of the more popular and fun things to do on the fiber laser, among a bunch of other things. So if you have any ideas of a step-by-step guide that you would like to see using a fiber laser like the ComMarker, let me know down below. I have some ideas of other projects I want to do and kind of show off, but I'd like to hear what all of you are curious about as well. If you're interested in looking at picking up a ComMarker for yourself, I have a link to the laser down below, and I may get an affiliate commission for that sale. So just want to make sure that you know that ahead of time. So if you do choose to buy from that link, thank you very much. It does help the channel and kind of helps the channel to keep going and making videos like this one. If you'd like to be part of our Patreon to get some more info and files and other fun stuff, go ahead and check out patreon.com/geekbuilders. We have a pretty good group building over there, and I have a lot of files available for free if you're a paid member, but you can also join for free and still be in on some of the conversations and ask questions and participate in the community. If you're curious about more info and some different info about GeekBuilders, go ahead and check out geekbuilders.net. I have articles there, links to different videos, and we're also rebuilding our store with some other products that you could check out. So in the meantime, don't forget to design, make, and play. I'll see you in the next video. Make some cool stuff.